Alkimia will be hosting a race and identity workshop, an empathetic and warm personal growth process to help us connect with ourselves and others, describes Patsy Church, Alkimia South Africa Director. She now joins us alongside Alkimia Namibia's Director, Tulimelila Shituete. Ladies, a very good evening and welcome to the Daily Roundup Show.
Good evening, Nina, and thank you so much for having us.
Well, this
absolutely lovely to be with you, so thank you.
Thank you. Well, this workshop aims to unpack, amongst other things, the complicated history surrounding race. What is Namibia's complicated history in this regard?
Yeah, so I think, if you look at our history, initially with colonialism and then with apartheid, this sort of difference in race has been built into our systems, into our culture, into the brick and mortar, essentially, of our country, into the most basic building blocks. And so I think this can still be, extremely challenging for many of us to navigate, even today.
And Patsy, what about the situation in South Africa?
Yeah, of course, South Africa has its own challenges, and we've actually run quite a few versions of this workshop in South Africa, in schools in particular, where race has bubbled to the surface, particularly on social media, and schools have been trying to navigate how to deal with this in the classroom environment, in the school environment. And so it's been fantastic to run our workshop with staff and board members and kids as well. So.
Well, this matter has had adverse effect, and this is for both of you. What do those impacts look like in contemporary society?
Yeah, I think, it feels important to speak for myself as well, as what I consider myself, a proud Black Namibian woman, and, just experiencing racism still on a daily basis has been very challenging for me. When you just feel that you are not necessarily as human as others might be considered to be. So it can be very, very challenging to move through the world and to move through life in Namibia as a Black woman. And, I carry a lot of privilege with me. I'm light-skinned. I have, this huge cultural capital. And, yeah, so it can be, I think, just very, very difficult to always be able to relate to others.
Patsy, would you like to say something about that?
Sure. Yeah, so from my perspective as a white South African who's actually I spent a decade living in Namibia. But for me, and I have a family, we have one son who is Black. And as a white liberal person, I had to come to terms with the fact that there was still vestiges of racism in me. And there was a lot of shame attached to that. It was hard to acknowledge that even though academically and in my head, I really wanted to not be racist and certainly not to be considered racist. In the last few years, and as we wrote this workshop, I had to get to grips with the fact that there was still some stuff that I needed to deal with. And I had to accept my own white privilege around that and to start to work with how could I use it? How could I use that privilege in ways that are supportive, in ways that show my commitment to trying to be non-racist?
Well, Julie, could you tell us about the event that is going to take place?
Yeah, so Patsy and I separately, we had really been struggling with our own issues of, around race and identity. And so together we teamed up to write a workshop that we hoped could help to streamline the process of people discovering that race identity and the impact that it might be having on them and has had on them. So we teamed up together to write this workshop. So it is a 3-day workshop that will be taking place in Windhoek from the 7th to the 9th of July. Sorry, June. No, it's July.
It's July.
What year is it? What month is it? So it's the 7th to the 9th of July. And we're incredibly excited about it because, as Patsy mentioned, we have run this workshop several times. And each time we've just been really blown away by people's capacity for kindness and for warmth and for empathy. You know, and those aren't emotions that you would expect to find in the race and identity space because, you know, by its nature, it can be quite combative. And cause a lot of friction. So it's been very exciting to be able to approach it from a different angle.
Well, ladies, due to time, we wish we could engage you further, but due to time, really, we're going to have to take this to another platform. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Nina.